Welcome to episode 2. Before we get started, I have an announcement I want to make that's really exciting to me anyway. I have written materials on almost all of this stuff, and I had no place to post it. So I finally found a place I can put some PDFs, including one that covers all the material we're going to cover in this lesson, and this lesson covers a lot of ground. And so there will now be a link in the description below. You can download the PDF at your leisure. You can go through the material as detailed or not as you want, but it might help to make the whole thing make a lot of sense, and I will probably have a lot more material going up there really soon. At the end of the document that I am going to have in the link in the description, at the end of it there is what amounts to a spreadsheet that represents the fingerboard of a guitar with all of the notes, both sharps and flats, notated on this fingerboard diagram. So you can take the information about chords and visualize it on a representation of a fingerboard and then apply it to your own guitar. I found that really helpful to me many years ago, and I had binders full of these things. So take a look at that and see if that helps out. So we're going to get to stacking thirds today, and I'm going to tell you right now that I'm only going to cover the basics of the structures of the chords. So chords have the 1, the 3, the 5, the 7, that defines the chord, but they also have extensions, the 9, 11, and 13. I just sort of glossed through the 9, 11, and 13, and that's going to make probably the next lesson or maybe the one after. So if you're wondering why, as you go through this, the emphasis is all on the 1, 3, 5, and 7, it's because that's what defines the chord. All right, so we're going to go through a whole bunch of charts, and that's the last you'll see of me for the rest of this video. I'll just be sort of explaining what's going on as the charts go by. Thanks for coming by, and come on back again next week for another one. We're going to start with some definitions that are going to be important for creating chords. It's a major third, which is 4 semitones or 2 full tones from the root of the chord. A minor third, which is 3 semitones. A perfect fifth is 7 semitones. A flat fifth, 6 semitones. A major seventh is 11 semitones. And a flatted or minor seventh is 10 semitones. And a hack you might want to keep in mind, because seeing 11 semitones either mentally or physically is difficult, especially when you're trying to play. It's also 1 semitone, a major seventh is 1 semitone below the root, an octave above. So a flatted or minor seventh is 2 semitones below the root. The structure of the major scale, as discussed in the previous lesson, is universal. It never changes regardless of the key being represented. It's always the same. Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. The primary method of creating chords is a process known as stacking thirds. It's used to create chords for every note in a given major scale. Using the major scale from the current key, we can start at any note within that scale. That is the 1, or the root note of the chord. We then select every second note in the scale until you've chosen all 7 notes in the scale. The first 4 notes, 1, 3, 5, and 7, define the structure of the chords. Stacking thirds creates 4 types of chords. A major chord, which is a major third and natural fifth, and a major seventh. A minor chord, which is a minor third, natural fifth, and minor seventh. A dominant chord, which is a major third, natural fifth, and minor seventh. And finally, a minor 7 flat 5, or half diminished, which is a minor third, a flat fifth, and a minor seventh. The final 3 notes, the 9, 11, and 13, are the extensions. They're used to alter the tonal color of the chord without changing its basic structure. The 9, 11, and 13, as well as the 5, can also be altered to further change the tonal color of a chord. The 5 and 9 can be raised or lowered by a semitone. The 11 can be raised by a semitone, and the 13 can be lowered by a semitone. What you're looking at now is an extended version of the C major scale. So we've got basically 2.5 C major scales here. And that's what we're going to use to do the stacking of thirds. We're going to stay in the key of C. No sharps, no flats, just like we did in the previous lesson. But this applies no matter what key you're in. So you see that the extended major scale in front of us, and we're going to do a C major chord, starting at the C, which is the 1. And you can see we're going to take every second note. C is the 1, E is the 3, G is the 5, B is the 7, D is the 9, F is the 11, A is the 13. If you look at the little table below that, it's basically laid out on the scale starting at C, and you can see where the semitones are causing the relationships between the notes. You have here a C major chord with a major third, natural 5, and a major 7. Now the next one we're going to do is a D, and we take the same C scale. The scale always remains the same. We just simply shift one note to the right. We start on D. So this is going to be the 2 chord in the progression. Skipping every second note, what we get is the 1 is D, the 3 is F, the 5 is A, the 7 is C, the 9 is E, the 11 is G, the 13 is B. And if we look at the table below that, again, we see where the semitones are and what the distances are. So the interval between the D and the F is no longer 4 frets, it's now 3 frets. It's a minor. That's what's happened. The semitone between E and F has shifted so that it's now involved in that first interval. So we have a minor third, a natural 5th, we have a flatted 7th, and then the E is 9, G is the 11, B is the 13. The E minor works exactly like the D minor did. We start at E, and again, it's 3 frets to the G. So the 3 is G, it's a minor third, 5 is B, 7 is D, 9 is F, 11 is A, 13 is C. So it's a minor third, a natural 5th, and a flatted 7th. And here's a hack you might want to keep in mind. Anytime you have a minor third, the 7 is also flatted. It's a minor 7 or flatted 7 when you're stacking thirds. Okay, so the 4, we're back to the same formula we had in the first chord. We start at F, which is the 1. We take A is for our 3, and you'll notice on the table below, that's now 4 frets again, so we're back to having a major chord. 5 is C, 7 is E. So the E is a semitone below the F, therefore it's a major 7th. So again, you have a major 3, natural 5, major 7. Continuing on, now we get to 5. The 5 is special. It's the only chord like it in the entire stacking thirds vocabulary. It is a dominant chord. So you see at the table below, we'll go, the 1 is G, the 3 is B, which is a major third. The 5 is D, natural 5. The 7 is F, which is 2 semitones below the root. It's the only one with this structure where it gets a major third, a natural 5th, and a flatted or minor 7th. Dominant chords are really powerful, and they're unique. They have the feeling of pulling the ear back to the 1. They leave a very unsettled feeling. 6, we're back to the minors. 1 is A, the 3 is C, that's 3 frets, so we're back to a minor chord. The 5 is E, which is a natural 5. The G, as I said, every 7th in a minor is a flatted or minor 7th. So G is 2 frets below the A. And then 7th, we get another unique one. This is the one time that the 5 really changes the nature of the chord. We start at B, we go to D, which is, again, we see it's 3 frets. But now the F, instead of being 7 frets above the root, is 6. It is a flatted 5. 7 is the A, so again, it's a minor 7 on a minor chord. And then we get the 9, 11, and 13. So those are the 7 chords that we get from stacking thirds. We can go to any key and we will get exactly the same results. We will get a major 7th, minor 7th, minor 7th, major 7th, dominant, minor 7th, minor 7 flat 5. Well, if you've made it all the way to this point of the video, I just have to say congratulations on your patience and your ability to stick to it. I know it was long and it was more than a bit dry, and I considered cutting this up into little pieces and feeding it out in little chunks. And I just decided, go for it. This is the most important thing I probably ever learned about music theory, and it opened huge paths into new musical worlds for me. And I think that for most people, if this is your first exposure to this whole concept, it's the beginning of a long journey, but it's one that is incredibly rewarding. It just really was a game changer for me. So congratulations. And a couple things real quick. First of all, again, I'm going to remind everybody, there is a text, actually a PDF file, that's in a link in the description underneath. And I really encourage you to download that PDF. It follows the whole lesson, or more to the point, the lesson followed the PDF. And you can go through it in much smaller chunks that way. You can line it up with the video. You can come to understand little bits of it a piece at a time. You don't have to watch the video at one time. You can also go back and watch a couple minutes of it at a time and just absorb the little bits that you're getting from each section. So again, congratulations on your patience and your stamina, because it was long. And I hope you'll come back next week for the next one, which I promise you will be much shorter and much simpler. So thanks for coming by.